I would like to say good evening to everyone. It's been a while since we've had standing room only. This is wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for coming out. We have several speakers that have signed up to speak on agenda items tonight. We have 4 that have signed up, and all 4 are on agenda item number 1. We will start with Sam Whitfield, who has signed up on agenda item 1, and he's speaking for the ordinance. Sam Whitfield. Is Sam Whitfield here? No. Okay. We'll move on. Tricia Shank signed up for agenda 1, speaking against.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I know y'all know who I am now. My name is Tricia Shank, and I'm speaking on behalf of the owners of the following Pine Bluff businesses regarding the residency ordinance: Scott Systems Heating and Air, Anderson Electric, Deja Vu Upscale Consignment, Teresa Arso of Thrive in Silpata, Shannon's Restaurant, The Country Kitchen, Pond City, Trafford Real Estate and Trafford Buildings, Linda Pickler Realtor, R&T Insurance Agency, Milner Insurance Group, Charles Mexican Food, Jack and Jill Fun Zone, Lawson's Flowers and Gift, Ralph Robinson and Son, Cell Phone Repair, and Southeast Engravers. We believe that running the city is kind of like running a business. It's basically the same. So we want to address this residence ordinance from a business management standpoint. When we are looking to hire someone, the 2 major factors that we examine are qualifications and experience. Where that person lives does not play a part of who we hire, because we want the person that has the best capabilities. That person determines our business's success or not. And we want the people who do the best job, and we think it's fair for the city as well. Customers who choose to do business with us because we offer a quality product or a service in a safe and friendly environment by people who care. Let's bring this same principle to our city. Instead of making people live here, why don't we get them to want to live here? The bigger problem is what needs to be addressed. Let's bring more shopping, some eating establishments, recreation, and security to our town and get the rubble cleaned up. Okay, so you say firemen and policemen are very important and should live close. Well, let's see. What about doctors, nurses, EMTs, mechanics, AC guys, pastors? All these jobs are important, could be needed on an emergency basis, but they're free to live where they wish. So what's next in taking away our freedom? Are we going to make students live in the city to attend CARC or UAPB? We're going to stop everyone that lives in Pine Bluff from shopping in Little Rock? We're going to make people worship at the church that's closest to them? I know these are far-fetched, but one freedom taken away leads to another. So tonight, before you cast your vote, I want you to think about that soldier that's in Afghanistan tonight, that's bunkered down. He is away from his family, his wife and his children, so that you and I can have the freedom to work, to shop, to live, and to worship where we want to. Thank you for your time.
Next person signed up, Mark Cannon, agenda item number 1. Mark Cannon. Is Mark here? Okay. Next person is Garland Trice. Is Mr. Trice here? No? Okay. Thank you. That's all that we have.
You missed a term when you're not here, if you're here before you get to session.
Pardon me?
If they come late before the session is over, can they still speak?
Absolutely. Okay. Mr. Whitfield?
Thank you. Thank you to the mayor and to the city council members. I come tonight to speak on and for passage of ordinance regarding the residents. There are many citizens who Pine Bluff who are upset with the mayor regarding comments made about the proposed residence ordinance. Basically, the mayor's position as from the paper is that we're not going to find any qualified person outside of those of Pine Bluff. And I come before this council to say tonight, specifically to the mayor, that you owe this community an apology. You do. Because we have a major university too, UAPB and Southeast College here. We graduated this community. You are out of line. I'm saying to you, Mayor, that you do not need to look no more than what's right here in our community. Stop talking the rhetoric. Stop with the lies. Let's put Pine Bluff first. I'm saying to you, we have a population decline. We have schools that are closing. We have businesses that are moving and businesses that are closing down here within the city. We have a loss of a tax base. There is no reason why we cannot give our own Pine Bluff citizens the right person for a job opportunity. We send our kids to school to tell them, go and be what you are. But you can't work here because you are not the qualified applicant. And I'm saying to you, you're sending the wrong message, Mayor. Stop lying to the people. Let's put Pine Bluff first. There's not a job here that they cannot do. Thank you.
The Pine Bluff City Council meeting for March the 16th, 2015 is hereby called to order. May we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brumman.
Here.
Alderman Steph.
Here.
Alderwoman Walker. Alderman Boyd.
Here.
Alderman Brown Sr.
Here.
Alderman Mays.
Here.
Alderman Holcomb.
Here.
Alderman Brown Jr.
Here.
Each of you have a copy of the
So
minutes.
moved. Second.
It's been properly moved in second that the minutes from March the 2nd be approved. Floor is now open for discussion. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to committee reports, Ways and Means. Alderman Brummett.
Yes, Mayor. The Ways and Means Committee met prior to the meeting, and we have 3 budget adjustments for consideration tonight. The first one was in your packet. It's for $16,035, repair and maintenance of office equipment. It's to replace the microphones and some of the system within City Hall. Hopefully everybody can hear us better. And I move we accept this budget adjustment.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that a budget adjustment in the amount of $1,635 for our microphones for the City Council chambers be approved. Floor is now open for discussion.
Yes, Mayor. Alderman Brummer did say 16,000, but it's 1,600.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
For these microphones right here.
I'm sorry.
I clarified it.
$1,635.
I clarified it for you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
At our last council meeting, we approved an ordinance authorizing the purchase of various vehicles. There was a budget adjustment that we were to approve after we approved that, and we didn't do it. Basically, this purpose of this budget adjustments is to set up the accounts to handle the money. There's 77,000 purchase autos, 52,000 purchase machinery and equipment, 220,000 purchase heavy autos. And this, just as I said, is to set up the accounts that we approved in the previous ordinance. So I move we accept this budget adjustment.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that a budget adjustment to purchase vehicles and equipment and revenue coming from loan proceeds. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Nay. I wanna make sure.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Mayor, we have another budget adjustment for a long-time employee of the city that's retiring with 90 days accumulated sick leave and 45 days of vacation. The total amount is $23,046.40. It's out of the street department. I move that we accept this budget adjustment upon confirmation by the clerk and payroll office.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a budget adjustment in the amount of $23,046.40 be approved from the street department for the retirement of Ms. Dolores Williams. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes the report, Mayor.
Paying the bills.
I move we pay the bills that the city owes. Thank you.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that the bills for the city be paid. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to ordinances and resolutions.
Okay, Mayor, the Ordinance Resolutions Committee met prior to the meeting. Numbers 1 and 2 will be read for the third and final reading. Number 3 has been pulled by the sponsor. 4, 5, 6, and 7 will receive their second reading. And resolution number 12 has been pulled by the sponsor. We will process all the other resolutions on the agenda tonight. That concludes our report.
Repeat that again, because I think I missed a number somewhere.
Just as it says on the agenda, 1 and 2 will be read for the third and final reading. Number 3 is pulled by the sponsor. 4 through 7 will be read for the second time.
Okay, that's what I missed, 7.
And the resolutions 8 through 17 will be completed, with number 12 being pulled by the sponsor. Okay? That concludes the report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Economic and Community Development, Alderman Brown Jr.
No report, Mayor.
Alderman Brown,
It's okay.
oh, I skipped a line. Sorry. Alderman Brown Sr., sorry.
Yes.
No report? Thank
No
you.
report.
Public Health and Welfare, Alderman Brown Jr. That's where I got offline.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Mays.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We had a Public Works meeting on the 9th, which was last Monday, and I thought we was going to move 13 through 17 and send it back to committee because we didn't have a full official committee meeting, and it's been scheduled for the 23rd at 10 o'clock, the 26th at 10 o'clock a.m.
You're going to change, are you changing something on the agenda?
Well, the items 13 through 17 were a discussion, and it was an official meeting. And some of those resolutions in there, I really didn't understand. It's a lot, it's probably $250,000 in there between 13 and 17 that really wasn't discussed properly. I was the chairman, I was the only one there.
What are you saying, you want to reschedule it?
Right, we reschedule it and let's do it right, you know, on behalf of our citizens. Now, we vote on tonight, you usually be voting on something, you really don't know what you're voting on, to be honest with you. I was at the discussion, but it wasn't an official meeting, and I got a email with some resolutions on it that we didn't even discuss, and they were worth, I guarantee you, they're worth $250,000.
So, who's the sponsor on it?
Are a couple of them time sensitive?
Well, they still need to be discussed, Mayor, if you don't mind, because even though they was rushed through that morning, and Alderman Holcomb and Alderman Brummett didn't attend the meeting, and I was there, and I just asked them to discuss a few things, and we had a full hour discussion, which I had said 3 times that it's not an official meeting, but we had about 5 people representing there that were constantly talking with the media there, and they printed it as though it was a full meeting, but it was an unofficial meeting. I just want to say that for the record, because once again, it's probably $250,000 involved in 13 through 17, that if you vote on, you really won't know what you're voting on. But you all can do what you want to do. I just put it out there like that. And
I think it should go back to his.
Yeah, we must respect, you the chairman of the committee?
right.
Well, we need to respect the chairman.
I sponsored all of them, so.
Well, they call you on the phone. You wasn't at the meeting. They call you on the phone after the meeting, Bill, and that wasn't fair to the citizens of Pine Bluff. They call you on the phone after the meeting and ask
Who
you a
called me
question.
on the phone?
David Hutter, the commercial. I mean, you made a quote in the paper like as though you were at the meeting and you wasn't there.
I did not.
Okay. Well,
Okay, do we,
As chairman, I would like to send them back to committee,
okay.
have a full discussion.
Sponsor of them, I'll say, okay, we'll we'll send them back to the committee. When's the committee meeting going to be?
26th.
Okay,
At
we'll bring
10
it back to
o'clock.
the next council meeting then.
Thank you, sir.
Larry, does that mess you guys up?
If you don't mind.
Yes, sir, please.
Item 17, I have no problem with going back. But item 13 is just a request to put in for state funds. And it is time sensitive, and that means we need to look for us to meet our deadline. Item 13 is just requesting that we apply for funds from the state. No dollars are involved. We need a resolution from the council approving us making a request to the state for these funds. No dollar amounts are involved. In 13, 14, 15, there are no dollar amounts involved. We need a resolution authorizing us to apply for these grant funds.
So how much are the grants worth?
We don't know. It's based on what they give us. We go always ask for the maximum we apply for Arkansas State grants. I imagine the maximum each one would be 500,000. That does not necessarily mean that we'll get 500,000. We may get 100,000.
When did we first get our notices?
We get a notice that the grants are due on a certain date, and we have to have the resolution in.
I mean, when do they,
Along with the application.
what time do they notify us?
They don't notify us. It's a publication that goes, and we have to go out and find it. And when we find them, we bring it to the committee in enough time in order for us to put the grants in.
I just have a question.
Yes.
You're saying there's no dollar amounts involved. Are you saying there's none involved now, or will they be any involved once the grant has been
It
approved?
is a 80-20 grant. But we don't know what that 20 is for the city.
Okay.
And they won't consider the application without approval from the council, allowing us to submit for grants.
Now, let me ask you this as well. Now, when you say 80-20,
Yes.
is this one of those grants that once the project is done, is finished, and we have paid for this work, for the 80%, and then they will reimburse us? Is that
They
one of
will
those?
Say we get a grant for $100,000, the city is responsible for 20. We'll have to come up with the 80, and it's paid out according to when the pay requests are in. It's not necessarily a reimbursable grant. Some of them are. It's just depending on which one. But if we don't get in this cycle, it'll be another year before we get another cycle. And all of these grants are kind of hinging on, all the projects are kind of hinging on grants to determine which direction the city will go.
Are these grants that we have gotten before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We've gotten the Safe Routes to School grant before. We have one currently. The walking trail, the entire walking trail was built on grants with the 80-20 match. We have funds set aside for the walking trail match 20%.
Okay, now, the 80% we will also have to provide when the work is done, right?
Yes?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Just 20.
Just the 20. The city is only obligated for the 20%.
Okay, now the 80%, because I read with a couple of these, that the 80% would be reimbursed to the city, but the city would have to pay up front.
Yes.
Once the project is done, that the city would have to pay the bill, and then they would reimburse. So therefore, we will have to have 100% of the project, because we got our 20% plus the 80%. So we have to have 100% of what the project is about.
What we awarded, yes.
Yes.
What the award is. And it's paid out as the pay requests come in. If we have a $100,000 project and the contractor is working on it, he presents us a bill for $50,000, we'll pay the 20% of the 50. The state will reimburse us in usually about a 10-day, 15-day turnaround for their portion.
We pay 20% of the 50, or we have to pay the whole 50, and then when it's done, then they will pay us back.
Yes. Yes.
So we have to have the money to pay first, and then we get reimbursed.
Yes, ma'am.
See, as chairman of the Public Works, that's why I wanted to send it back to committees, because of the confusion right here. Now, it's up to you all to go with that, these three he's talking about. Since you're the sponsor.
All these are is just requests to allow them to seek the grant. They'll have to come back to us if they get money for authorization for spend anything.
I understand, but you heard him say that they're worth $500,000 apiece. I mean, we need to have some kind of discussion on that in some kind.
It's up to, but we don't know what we're going to be awarded. We can get up to that much, but you have to apply first.
I'm going to leave 13, 14, and 15 on the agenda because I feel like it's important we move them on.
I understand, but it was.
The rest of them we can
Okay, well,
take
just
off.
respect the committee as it is set up, and it wasn't fully discussed.
The sponsor has the right to pull any legislation.
But Bill,
only.
you wasn't at the meeting. They called you on the phone.
No,
That's not a meeting. That's a phone
didn't.
call.
Steve, you're all wrong. I'm sorry.
Alderman Holcomb, was you at the meeting?
Any
Okay, I'll
other,
leave you out of it. Okay,
Okay.
I got you.
okay, any other questions for Mr. Matthews?
In other words, he's saying that these resolutions did not come from a meeting, that
Right.
they are just put on the agenda.
Right.
They weren't
It's
discussed.
up to you all if you want to go ahead and add them on here, if you want to.
They're on there.
Well, it wasn't an official meeting. Now, if I did that, and you were at the meeting, Bill, you would have just, I wouldn't have got away with this. Any of you all, I wouldn't have got away with this. And we need to do the same respect back to each other.
I agree, Steve.
If I did that and made up, you wouldn't even call me if I'd missed a meeting and let me know anything. Wouldn't have text me or Facebook me or nothing.
But the point is, they need to submit it before you meet.
It still needs to be discussed, though.
They need to submit it, and then we'll discuss what they get.
Yes, let me explain. This grant, this resolution only allows us to apply. If we are approved, we'll have to come back to the council
Right.
with the dollars that have been approved. For you all to approve those or reject it. You don't have to accept it at that point. You can reject the dollars at that point. But if we don't apply, then we can't get a chance to get the grant.
I understand. It's still my turn to speak, but I understand. It's up to
When these come about, how much time do we usually have? These are grants that we've gotten before, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so we know that they come about the same time.
They come at different times. It's up to the state when they come at various times depending on when the state funds.
It's up to you all. I mean, I understand.
I have-
What he's saying, but I got home that evening, I got 5 resolutions on an email all of a sudden, and we didn't discuss them.
Well, we discussed every last one. Now, it was not enough quorum there to make the decision at the committee meeting. We've done our portion.
You talk to me
Yes.
about it, too.
We've done our portion. I called Alderman Brummick and I informed him, because Mr. Mays was a little hesitant. I told him we needed a co-sponsor in order for this to come to the council floor. That's how Alderman Brummick got into it. We were not sure if Alderman Mays was going to sponsor these resolutions. We didn't have a time frame. I called Alderman Brummick, asked him to co-sponsor, explain each one of the resolutions to him. He said he would.
But he wasn't at the
Well,
meeting.
and I think what Alderman Mays is saying, that since he did not have a meeting, that it would not be legal to have resolutions that are supposed to have come out of the committee when there was only one person there. I think that's what he is saying. And on this, this resolution about the alternate fund program for the safe route to school, now I know that's been out there a while, because the lady talked
This is the
to
second
us
round.
in Little Rock.
This is
Yeah.
the second round.
Since,
This is the order one.
okay,
We have
when,
one for Town of Boston, school district, and we're trying to get one for South.
okay, how was, what is this, Southwood, how was that, school chosen? Because I know at one point, the people at 34th, they had a project that they wanted done. So I just want to know, how did the,
Southwood is the only one presented to the committee that we're reviewing.
Can we do this? Are we going to leave the items on the agenda? And if we are, then we can have a full discussion on each one of these at that time. If we're not, then we're going to pull them and move on. So do we need to leave them on there? My question is. It's up to the sponsor. Is it up to the sponsor? Our city attorney said it was up to the sponsor. So Alderman Brummett?
13, 14, 15 will remain on the agenda. We can send the other two back to committee, will be okay with me. on the 26th.
I agree. Out of respect for the committee, you know,
Okay.
really.
We're- Okay.
Because I wouldn't,
Thank you,
This was
Mr.
anything-
I want the same respect that
Fine.
you all have on the meeting. If I
Thank you,
didn't
Mr.
come-
Matthews.
Thank you, Larry. If I didn't come, you all wouldn't call me and ask me a question.
Does that,
Just asking the same. And one more thing, Mayor.
yes, sir.
The 71602 zip code has not been forgotten. That's still on the back burner. That's still in motion. I'm asking for an update at the next council meeting from Mr. Larry Reynolds. That's still an issue that needs to be discussed. It hasn't been forgotten. It's a serious issue that we're losing population quickly. We're losing addresses, residents to the zip code. It is a serious issue, and it needs to be addressed. And once again, I'm going to ask Mayor Hollingworth if she would ask Mr. Reynolds to come to our next council meeting.
Do you know he's been in the hospital?
I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and what it is, we're waiting on a letter back from the United States Postal Service that will, with the rationale to allow us to get our 3 zip codes in Pine Bluff and allow Whitehall, the city of Whitehall, to have their own zip code, which they already have it, but they just didn't use it, the city government. But that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Development and Planning, Alderman Boyd.
No report, man.
That's unusual, isn't it? Yeah.
We got a
Traffic,
couple items, but there's nothing to report.
okay. Traffic and Aviation, Alderman Holcomb Jr.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Administration, Alderman Steps.
Mayor, we had a meeting, and item 1 was 2 of us present, and we recommended that it come before the full council for a vote. And item 3, the sponsor pulled it, and that's the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Alderwoman Walker.
Mayor, I have not had a meeting, but I do have some business to address. The bike patrol I lost my brother, and they were very, very instrumental in assisting the family with the funeral, and they were so representative of the city. They were all dressed up and looking so nice. And we were at my brother's home waiting to go to the church. And one of my nephews came in and says, Aunt Thelma, the police is out there. So I says, okay. And I walked out because I was expecting a couple of cars, one in the front, one in the back. And when I got out there, the full bike patrol was there, and it was just, it made me so emotional because they were so professional and they were dressed so nice. They had on, not the uniforms they have on now, they had the full uniforms on, the hats, the gloves, everything. They just represented Pine Bluff well. And also, I want to give them a big hand. Captain Hadley is doing a good job with these young men, and I'm just proud of them. And another thing I have, that we have, I believe, 6 interns with the police department, and I would like for them to just walk forward so that people can see you. Are they inside or outside? You can just walk on around, you come on around. And these are students from UAPB, and this is a testimony that when people say that we can't find good people in Pine Bluff to hold the good jobs that we have, this dispels all that idea that people have. We have all these young men that is ready to step in leadership roles and do a good job and represent the city of Pine Bluff, and we appreciate them.
Thank you.
Okay. And also, Mayor, at the end, I have a resolution that will be read at the end in showing appreciation to the police department for the good job that they are doing and the training that they have put forth, and that will come when the resolution is read. But I want to thank them for that. And Chief Eubank.
Thank you. Does that conclude? Okay, thank you. On to ordinances and resolutions. Oh, dismissed.
Okay, Mayor, we have an ordinance prescribing residency rules for employees of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and related purposes for the third and final reading.
Ordinance prescribing residency rules for employees of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and related purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Okay.
Bill?
I didn't move for adoption either.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, move for adoption. We got a second?
Mayor just told you how to conduct yourself. You don't forget, aren't you?
Okay, I'm with the program now. I was going to poke him and wake him up, so, okay. All right, it's been properly moved and second that a resolution prescribing residency rules for employees of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and related purposes. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I will open up. Again, I would like to reiterate that we have great people. In Pine Bluff, we have we have a university, UAPB, we have CR, and we have all of these higher institution of learning. And we are saying to these people that is going to school to get a good education and get a good job, that they don't matter. Because it was stated, I think, Mayor, that you stated in the paper that we are losing good people by not being able to go outside. And so it narrows our pool because we can't find good people if we don't go outside of Pine Bluff. And I don't agree with that. We have great people in Pine Bluff. We have intelligent people that is working hard to stay in school so that they can get out and get a good job and be committed to this city. Because our schools are closing, because there's no kids here to go to school. We're allowing them to come in here and work and then go someplace else. And it's not fair. So we can turn this city around.
Any other comments? Any other comments?
Mayor, I have one.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Ms. Walker. You know, we have qualified people here in the city of Pine Bluff that can do everything. But I think this is my opinion for when we come up with the idea to say all persons that's hired, you know, by the city must live in the city. I think that's pretty unprecedented for us to make that decision. I always supported the residential ordinance, especially with our emergency personnel, but this particular one here, I think I shared with the sponsor that when we say all persons hired in, I think it's a little bit far-fetched out of range myself.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a comment.
We cannot take comments from the floor, sir.
Our city has lost some population. A lot of it has been lost to the 71602 shared zip code between Pine Bluff and Whitehall. It's time for us to start to rebuild and redevelop our tax base here in the city of Pine Bluff. I feel that our citizens should come first because of their love and compassion for our great city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We offer decent salary jobs here in the city of Pine Bluff. We do have 2 colleges here. We need more people to contribute to our local tax base. We need to start to heal our city in 2015, which is now. This will not affect our previously hired employees. It's time that we rebuild and redevelop our great city, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff is a great place to live and raise a family, and we must understand that. For instance, if you have people living out of town, they'll ride over potholes, even though they work for the city, they'll ride over potholes and things going home and won't even report it. So we have to start working together. And I feel like if you love the city, we all can work together and help rebuild and redevelop this city. you ride over different things, and I feel like it's just time.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Mayor, under the present ordinance that Alderman Mays and all of us worked out a year or so ago, I think it's correct that people have to live within 12 miles of the city limits. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Can those people in the city not apply for jobs within the city? Sure they can. And then you will select, or the department head will select the best candidate. Also, there are provisions that allow this council to rescind any hiring that is done with a 2/3 vote. And our Human Resources Department did a poll of the other cities within Arkansas, including Jonesboro, Maumelle, Bentonville, Jacksonville, Fayetteville, Conway, Fort Smith, Harrison, Little Rock, North Little Rock, Rogers, Springdale. None of them require all employees live within the city. 2 of them require department heads. That's all in the whole state of Arkansas. I just feel like that what we've got on the books that we all worked out, and we went through a lot of a lot of struggle to get that approved beforehand, and we're abiding by those laws of 12 miles, and I would appreciate if everybody would do not vote for this, because I think it sets a bad precedent. It really hurts our city to be able to put us in this kind of a light. As far as students going to schools, is it not correct that they have freedom to choose their school that they go to?
School choice.
School
Yes.
choice, right. So as far as telling somebody they got to live in Pine Bluff says they're going to go to our school in Pine Bluff, that does not work anymore. A lot of the things that I've heard brought up about this are literally wrong. I'm sorry, they're wrong. So I would encourage you to vote against it, particularly with the fact that it says all employees. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I
Yes,
got
sir.
one, Mayor. We do have school choice. But when you think about your tax base, it's real estate. The students is one thing, but their household resident is another. I argued this thing 2 years ago. When you look at, you start talking about public safety employees, you got 102 in one area, and 65 of them live outside of your city. There's something wrong with that picture. And when you combine the 2 of them, you got over 100. And when you look at the salaries that they're being paid, plus the city's paying part of the insurance for these same employees, how many millions of dollars in salaries was that, Brown, that you got the information?
3.8 million.
$3.8 million
Per year.
a year. Now, when you look at that, I know the figures are correct because I checked them out almost 2 years ago. And when you start looking at that from a tax base, especially if you got some real estate taxes in, and I think part of this is attributed to the fact that maybe that might be the reason some of the schools and things are closed. And I think that what Alderman Boyd was saying is that maybe it might not apply to all the employees, but I think that he was in support of the thing for our public safety employees. So I think that there's a fine line as to what we are trying to define. And when we begin to talk and say that it doesn't make any difference because our taxes might be up, you up 0.6%, but you still can't do anything. Because when you start talking about the insurance and everything that's going up, we can't hire as many police officers as thing we need, or fire department personnel, it's because we don't have the revenue. So I think that we need to take in consideration as to what are we doing, yeah. And when they started saying you don't have qualified people here, I know that we've had some that were rejected, and I told them once before, I don't think they want our children. And I told them that. because I've had some situations where I know they were qualified, highly qualified professional people, and they were up saying one thing, but I know some that had made the application and they didn't want them. So we have to be very careful about whether or not we want them or not, because I think that's a problem.
Alderman Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. As Alderman Stepp said, we discussed this in depth probably about 2 years ago at the beginning of this mayor's first term or voted-in term. And it was a word that was used that was called compromise. Because on the books, you had to live here according to your employment. And the prosecuting attorney said that because somebody relaxed the law, then we couldn't enforce it, which I think is totally wrong. If the police stop me 10 times for speeding and I don't get a ticket, that doesn't mean that speeding is not against the law. Speeding is against the law. So I remember that compromise. And we had this discussion also last week in the committee meeting, and the mayor was there. And what took place in that first 2 years was to change the law that was on the book to a compromise of 12 miles from the city. And then your mayor turned around and hired somebody that lived outside of that 12 miles. And that's against the law.
I did not hire somebody outside.
I'm not talking to you, Mayor. I'm talking to the audience right now. However, excuse me?
You're addressing the chair.
Okay, well, very good. Okay, very good. Okay. I don't want to point a finger at that employee or those employees, but it's on the books. It is definitely on the books. However, I'm not going to debate that with you tonight. You know, if anybody want to look at the books, they can find that out. However, when you start talking about $3.8 million that leave this city every year, do you realize what $3.8 million in taxes could do better for Pine Bluff, Arkansas? Do you realize that if those people were living here, probably they would have 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 kids, a wife, perhaps taking care of a mother or a nephew or a cousin, that would add to our declining population. We once, and I can remember, at 57,000 people. And somewhere we lost population that it went to 55,000. And then the way I understand it, it went to 51,000. And then at last check, it went to 49,000. And just take and hit the button on the computer right now, and it'll tell you projected 47,000 people that live in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Now, we're losing people. It's not because of crime, because crime is in every city. We're losing people because, for whatever reason, the mayor said last week they want to raise chickens or whatever. I don't know. I'm saying that as administrators or as legislators for this city, we need to do something to get people to stay in Pine Bluff. Now, we can't control private industry because that's their tax money. We can't control Jefferson Hospital and Simmons, and we can't control Central Maloney. But we were elected to be good stewards of the city of Pine Bluff revenues. Every employee that works for the city of Pine Bluff gets paid by the people that brave themselves or love the fact that they're living in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. That tax money comes from the people that live in the city limits of Pine Bluff, that pays those people that drive out of Pine Bluff every day, that spend buy groceries, $100, $200 worth of groceries in another city or state or area, that pay realty taxes somewhere else. They send their kids to school somewhere else. I think it's about $5,000 or $6,000 a year that we get for each kid in each school. How much? $8,000? Every time that a kid leaves,
We lose that in our school districts. Frank Anthony did everything he could to make the excuse not be because we had great schools. He remodeled schools. He asked for your tax dollars to remodel schools and so that your kids could get that quality education in a learning environment. He did everything he could do, okay? But when you move your kids, when you move out and you move your kids out, now they're closing down schools. So what's your excuse? Your excuse is what? Well, they had bad schools. They got great schools. All I'm simply saying is that this ordinance is so needed because we, as legislators of this city, legislate the tax dollars that are collected from this area. We legislate those dollars. We say that if you want to live in Pine Bluff, you're spending your taxes here, and we definitely know that. We definitely know if you're living here, you're spending your taxes here. It was mentioned earlier about, and people don't realize the domino effect. It's a big domino effect when you don't live in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. If you're collecting a paycheck from the taxpayers that live here and you take it to another city, I'm not going to name them, but if you take it to another city, you're killing the area that's it's like biting the hand that feeds you. That's exactly what's happening. We can't grow as a city when people leave. I want everybody that left the city over the last 15 years to move back in. I would love that. But if we don't stop you from moving out now, do you realize that in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, they're saying that we have unemployment? The people that live here are saying unemployment, so we're using somebody else people for the jobs that our people in Pine Bluff could be using. If one thing, we should not be unemployment here if we can afford people to go outside. We should have people here. We should have the best employment in the world if we can afford to hire other people. Alderman Brummett mentioned some ordinances from another city. Each one of those cities that he's talking about are thriving cities. We are not that, we're not thriving like that. So what we have, and y'all, you can get mad with us if you like, but it is our job to help Pine Bluff to grow. We're not up here arguing. We're trying to do what it takes for us to grow. And I don't want people to walk away thinking that, oh, they just up there arguing. We're not. Everybody sitting on this podium wants Pine Bluff to grow. And the only way to get that to happen is to get people, businesses, restaurants, the quality of life for people to enjoy being here. But if you're leaving, we're going to go from 55,000 to 30,000. What you going to get? I just, like, you know, I made the statement the other day. I don't see how anybody that loves Pine Bluff would be against this ordinance, would even say something against it. And I would put this audience on the line. But don't do it. How many live here in Pine Bluff? How many here that lives in Pine Bluff? Don't answer. But probably 60% of you or 70% of you don't live in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. No, I know. But a lot of them come to Pine Bluff from Whitehall, from Monticello, and they'll write editorials about Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and don't even live here. They don't live here. They're in the paper every day. So, and I'm glad, are we on TV tonight? That's great, because most of the time, the public never really knows why we're voting for this ordinance. The newspaper never print that we're going to lose 3.8 million from the people. The newspaper never report that we're losing population like grapes falling from a vine. That needs to happen. And you believe me, we're not here arguing tonight. We're trying to save our city. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments regarding this ordinance? Okay, let's have roll call, please.
Alderman Brummett,
No.
Alderman Stepps,
Yes.
Alderman Walker,
Yes.
Alderman Boyd,
No.
Alderman Brown Senior,
Yes.
Alderman Mays,
Aye.
Alderman Holcomb,
No.
Alderman Brown Jr.
Yes.
Okay, 5-3. Motion passes.
Okay, Mayor, we have an ordinance authorizing utility rate adjustments for 2015 and subsequent years up for the third and final reading.
An ordinance authorizing utility rate adjustments for 2015 and subsequent years.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that an ordinance authorizing utility rate adjustments for 2015 and subsequent years. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
No,
Sorry,
What we on?
no.
2,
Yeah, do a roll call on that.
on number 2.
Yeah.
What are you asking?
That went so quickly.
Yes, for roll call.
On number 2?
Chat for discussion.
Yeah, it went so quickly, I didn't get a breath on that one.
Okay, I'm not sure you're wanting a roll call on number 2?
Well, we didn't get anything on it. You just said, okay, then all of a
Well,
sudden.
she asked for a discussion, was there
Yeah.
a discussion?
I
think
did ask for discussion.
You want to discuss it? Well, then if you had to go back to the mayor because she asked for it.
She did so quickly, we didn't get a chance to move.
Everybody else did?
It was so quick, man, within
Okay.
5 seconds.
All right. Would you like to comment, sir?
Yes.
Okay,
We're on ordinance 2, right?
correct.
This is the ordinance that, I've been receiving a lot of phone calls on. And unfortunately, it's been not in just Ward 3, but it's in Ward 2, Ward 1, and Ward 4 and all over Pine Bluff. And here recently, we have had liberty to ask for an increase also. And we had a meeting, and that was a well-attended meeting. It was well-attended, because people was concerned about their water bill increase. And it was a 3-hour meeting. And the people was very concerned about whatever amount the Liberty Water Company was going to increase their rates to. And at the same time, and I think they did, they told us 3.3%, and I think in the end, the paper said that it was 12%. And those people called me about it when they read it in the paper that day. And then, of course, we've been, for the third reading, for the third time now, we've been talking about the utility rates here, the wastewater. And the seniors tell me that their bills are not, their paycheck per month is not going to change. If they say they make $542 a month, they're not going to get no increase. And if you increase their water bill to $10 to $15 to $20 a month, they're going to be shortfall. And that's what they're calling me, telling me. And I've been getting calls from all over. I don't know whether anybody else been getting them, but I've been getting calls from all over. They're saying that they don't want their utility bill to be as high as, well, a lot of them say they can't afford cable, but this is their comparison. Their comparison was the cable bill. They said, we can't afford cable. It started out as $11 a month, and we can't afford it now. And I think the water bill is the next lowest bill that we have. And they're saying they don't want their water bill to go where they can't afford it, because they're on fixed incomes. They make $400, $500, $600, whatever they make. I can't get into that figure because I don't know. But what they're telling me is that these increases are laying out there for them, and they'll tell them that it's going to be $2 a month, and it end up being $8, $9, $10, $12 a month. And they don't get it. They don't get an increase. So, you know, I think at this time, I think we ought to think about our citizens. We ought to think about the people that has to pay those bills. We ought to think about those fixed income people. This rate increase is 23%. I just think that Pine Bluff has to survive, and we need the work that the wastewater does for us. We need that. But we also need the citizens of Pine Bluff to make it. We don't need to increase their bills to the point where they can't afford to buy another loaf of bread, or they're short on their light bill or another bill. So, you know, and I think there should be an increase. but I don't think it should be 23%. You know, I think that, and then it's over 3 years. I think it should have been over 5 or 6 years, or 10 years for that matter. When you ask for that money that much at one time, it's gonna affect those people immediately. So, you know, those are the kind of things I think about. And at such a rate, I can't support it according to my constituents. I can't support it with the people that call me in Ward 1. I can't support it with the people that call me in Ward 2, in Ward 3, in Ward 4. I can't support that.
Alderman Brown, excuse me, may I speak? Mayor, after you, go ahead. Thank you, sir. I'm not supporting this as well, this rate hike increase on the citizens of Pine Bluff. It shows a 23% increase over the next 3 years, which is not good. Starting out with a 10% in 2015, a 7% in 2016, and a 6% in 2017. And I've made my point clear on this in committee, and I'm standing on that, and I'm not supporting this rate hike. And my answer, mine is no.
Okay, well, any other comments? Yes, sir.
Can we allow Mr. Ken Johnson?
I think that would be a great idea. Thank you, sir.
City Mayor and members of the council. First, I want to preface my conversation by saying that I don't work for the utility, I work for the wastewater utility. And Alderman Brown, you are correct, and we all concerned about the growth and development of Pine Bluff. Part of that growth and development also is to make sure we have reliable sewer service here in the city of Pine Bluff, the economic development, for community development, and also for to stop this exodus of population that we're experiencing. The 23% rate increase that we have proposed for wastewater utilities we've been looking at for the last year and a half. I did not pull the numbers out of the air. You mentioned about the possibility of lessening the amount, but we hired a professional consultant that's internationally known. This is not the first time that wastewater utility has experienced a rate increase. Matter of fact, I've been on board for 32 years. This is about the fourth time that we had to have a rate increase in order to go ahead and provide reliable service, to make capital improvements and all other things that are required to have a viable wastewater utility here in the city of Pine Bluff. We heard Black Beach Firm and the Public Works Committee, they called in, they met with the utility commission members. We have a report, a very comprehensive evaluation that talks about our rates, where we are and where we're going if we don't take action. The 23% again, we tried to massage it in over a 3-year period of time versus taking a radical approach to just going in and dropping 23%. The 10% in 2015, 7% in 2016, and then 6% in 2017. We thought that would be a very modest way of doing it, so we could kind of ease some of the impact that residents and commercial as well as industrial facilities in the city of Pine Bluff may experience. So with that in mind, I think that we have been very transparent, I think we've been very open, and we have members, chairman of our commission, Mr. Lloyd Oak, and also 3 employees of wastewater utility that represent the board we have currently working at Pine Bluff. So we actually, for the city council, since we waited for 10 years, and by the time the full rate increase is in effect, it will be almost 4 years before we actually see it. So you talk about a burden on the resident, but we, for 10 years, we haven't had a rate increase. In reality, according to our consultant, what we should have done is every year, we should have had like 3% we put in place. So we've taken a very lenient approach, and we think what we're proposing to the city council for adoption is very reasonable and will provide for us the type of revenues that we need to have to operate wastewater utility, make the capital improvements, and make sure also that we don't have any type of violation like some other cities throughout Arkansas and across this country have experienced. So this is the things that we aspire to accomplish here in the city of Pine Bluff.
Alderman Brown, you have a question?
May I respond to him?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, we understand that you've been there 32 years, so we know that you know how to make a presentation. All I'm simply saying is that you massage this over 3 years. Can you massage this over 5 or 6 years? Because I'm not gonna, I don't get into your day-to-day operations. I'm saying, can you massage this for 5 years so that our citizens won't have to absorb that so quickly? That's all we're asking for. If you could do 5 years in the 23%, I don't know how you're gonna get it. If you did it like the city did the 5/8 cent sales tax, you go get a bond issue and the money is paid back through however. But if you do it over 5 years, you would make me, my constituents, and some of these other ward constituents that's been calling me and my phone's been real hot. You know, I want it on the books that I'm not voting for this strong increase. And I'm asking you, can you massage this in the 5 years or 6 years or something? You know, and then if not, then drop a percent or two lower, and then when the 3 years is up, then come back and ask for what that you didn't get this time. And on the other hand, I'm saying that'll help those fixed income people not feel that we're railroading them, because they're not here to speak for themselves. You know, we're here to speak for them. And where we can vote for them, their taxes, their bills not to be high, then I think we should do that. So I certainly don't want to lose a contact with my constituents over giving the wastewater too much money. And I want to use an example. Liberty asked for 28%. They told us they were going to get 3.3% for the residents, and I think it went up. And they said they're going to get 12% from the businesses, and X amount for industrial. When I read the paper, it said 12%. Those people immediately got on the phone and called me, because we were all at a meeting together at the Realms building. Over 70 people attended for 3 hours. For 3 hours, they sit right there in that meeting because those people did not want their bills to go up. And I don't either. Now, I may find a way to make some more money, but people on a fixed income, unless they get a birthday dollar or two, they're gonna get the same amount of money every month. So Mr. Johnson, I'm asking you, I'm pleading to you to consider those people. You know, massage this into 5 or 6 years, or ask for 16 or something, 17%. Don't ask for that complete, because you're gonna hurt those fixed income people. We want our city to be one of the best cities, and we want to have the best sewer system in Southeast Arkansas or the United States for that matter. But we also want the residents to feel financially stable in the area. And that's simply what I'm saying. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking you to massage that over 5 or 6 years. If you do that, then I've saved face with my constituents, and also made you and the city of Pine Bluff and the wastewater department happy. It's a win-win this way. But when you say we're going to dump 23% on them, well, this be at this table passed or not, I can't vote for that. And I want my constituents to know that I will not vote to raise your bills, not that high.
Understand, and I appreciate you talking about making a presentation, but in addition, I know I also look at technical data, and I know I base numbers that we should be proposing 23% versus pulling numbers out there also. That's what our
But also, is it the people's fault that you say you should have got an increase some time back? Is it the people's fault that you didn't? Is it the people's fault that you didn't, Mr. Johnson? So now, at one time, you just throw a 23, almost a 1/4% on them, and that's okay? You didn't do your job. You should have done this 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So now you're going to throw all the weight on the people? I surely hope they're listening.
Alderman Brown, are you asking a question? If you are, would you let him respond, please?
Oh, he can.
Thank you.
Any progressive utility will look at cost of service evaluation over a 5-year period of time. And that's what we have done here at Wastewater Utility. Okay? We have looked at the rates. We have tried to use the term compromise. We have tried to use what we brought to. We started out with roughly 30%. We brought it down. We have some major capital improvements. I sent you pictures of some lines throughout the city of Bluff. We had a building pump station. We need to do some upgrades to our wastewater treatment plant. These are the
one question. If you massage this over 5 or 6 years, will you still get the same amount of money?
We would get, no, we would not. We would get the 23%, but if we spread it over, we would not be able to make the capital improvements.
You're gonna borrow to this anyway,
We would not be able to make the capital improvements.
Mr. Johnson. Aren't you gonna borrow, aren't you gonna get a bond issue or do something?
Possibility, but
Okay, but so if you massage this over 5 or 6 years, you're making it lighter on the citizens and the residents of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
but the bond issue that we need to make for replacement of hydrogen infrastructure, we would not be able to do until 2 years later. And so in addition to that,
You're talking about something that I know about. I know that you're gonna borrow money to this. I'm asking you to massage what you said, that's the term you use, for 5 or 6 years so that the people won't feel that much of an impact immediately. You're gonna get the same amount of money because your bond issue gonna let you borrow to what those 5 years gonna say.
we, Alderman Brown, we are requesting this increase over a 3-year period of time, and if we have 10 years at a time, the increase is actually to be almost 15 years.
Okay. Alderman Holcomb is next, then Alderman Steps and Boyd. Okay. Boyd, okay, Alderman.
I was just gonna ask Mr. Johnson, roughly on the average, what's the increase per household on a
The
bill?
average residential user in Pine Bluff, $16.21. So it'd be 10% on that, which would be additional $1.60. Roughly calculation about 5 cents per day or a nickel per bill.
So about less than $2 a month.
$2, right?
Okay.
By the time the full increase is in effect, it'd be a little bit over $3 for the average user.
You keep going up.
Okay, Alderman,
We just went through an experience, last year this time, gas was $4 a gallon.
Some residents too, and one of the requirements, we also have a public education program. We provide ways that for anyone that would like to know how they can possibly reduce their water usage, reduce their sewer usage, that we can provide some inside information about it as part of our public education efforts.
okay, Alderman Holcomb.
Nobody likes to have a high water bill. I don't like my water bill when I get it every month. But I understand that wastewater has a job to do. They do a good job. When you came to Public Works meeting, you told us you need this to maintain the system as of now. The cost to continue due to increase of productivity, the larger projects in the future, and the annual rate covenant for the bond issue. And then, just to make it plain and simple, if we don't have the right machinery to work with, you don't want to flush your toilet and it comes up in your kitchen sink.
Good way to put it.
Is that simple as ABC?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Oh, go ahead.
That's all I had to say.
Okay.
My question was similar to what Alderman Boyd had asked, and when I first raised my hand, I was waiting on a response to the 5-year suggestion that he had. The only calls that I've gotten, only one call, and I probably had said that I wasn't even going to address that issue. And the question was, with it having a separate commission from the city, have you gone to your commission to ask for any help with these increases? Since the money is being deposited separate from the city can't come in and ask for any help for anything that we're doing over here. And you all are doing what y'all want to do over there. And the question is, did you go to your commission and ask them for any help with this increase?
The commission, we have 5 members on board, and we followed the process. We went to the commission and discussed about the necessity of having a reading.
Okay.
And the commission, following the protocol, then voted for a resolution coming before the city council. The commission, even though it's an independent body, it's not an economic body. They don't have funds available. They don't operate as a financial entity. So we have to have their approval, then we bring it to the Public Works Committee, and then subsequently an ordinance is produced and provided before the full city council that you all will be voting on shortly.
I understand that they're not a financial commission, but the wastewater itself has a separate account from the city. And the fund that goes into that account, can they be used to help offset any purchases for any equipment that has to be purchased?
If the commission, to answer your question, yeah, if the commission deems it appropriate, but those funds that you're referring to, we have to have funds to cover the bond covenants. We also have to have an emergency account.
Okay.
In the event that we have some failures in our collection system and things of that nature. But yeah, we have looked at those accounts, utilization of those accounts, and some of the projects that we're proposing would be able to use some of those particular accounts for to cover the capital improvements we need to make, especially our wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
We have an account set up for, for wastewater treatment operations.
Yeah, and I asked that question because several citizens had asked that question, and I hadn't thought about it from that standpoint. But if we have those kind of funds and we got it set up there, it's because also this city has to have so much emergency and that kind of thing. But I guess it's interesting to me, and I'm not asking you all about how much money you got in your account, but if one side keeps getting fat and the other side is keep dwindling, then I think that it ought to be incumbent upon the commission that operates the wastewater to look and say, can we afford some of these things here? Then I think that if we both come together and partner in this situation, then I think we might not have a bigger problem with going to coming back to this body. But we think in terms, yeah, some of us, $1.60 might not help here, might not hurt some of us. But I think that the citizens, when you start talking about percentages, and all they looking at the fact that there is an increase, and I guess my real concern is that if this thing could have been done over a 5-year period, and I think it probably wouldn't create as much havoc as it is created now. And even during the midst of that time, if something came back up, then I think that you might be able to come back to the body. But those are two things that I think that concerns some citizens, is the fact that you got a commission sitting there, separate from the operation of the city, and you got monies in those accounts. Shouldn't that be involved in help doing what needs to be done with the wastewater?
Because those accounts, the accounts that you worked on,
Okay.
specifically earmarked, that we need to have the revenues in order to keep those accounts active and replenish those accounts, and we have to be compliant with financial standards and things of that nature.
Okay.
So we won't forfeit our bonds and things that they can decide to borrow. So without even having the emergency account like any operation we have, we would still have to have rates that are sufficient to take care of the day-to-day operation, capital improvements, and to make sure that we maintain sufficient coverage for that particular revenue source, that particular emergency fund account.
So are we saying the 5 years is just totally out of the question?
Sir, if we extend this period of time for 5 years, this will not enable us to go ahead and make the capital improvements we need to make. I think I sent each of you the pictures of the different lines and things that make, and we have to go ahead and hold short of doing that until such time we could have sufficient revenue to come in. So that will delay the project of those capital improvements. We can't build a pump station, we can't do the improvements that we want our wastewater treatment plant from the north part of the city. We would be able to do any of those type of improvements that are required. And we also would put us in a position where we potentially could be in non-compliance or violation of EPA and federal standards.
Okay.
One more question.
Okay.
So initially, where would you get your money from to start 2015?
We get our money from revenues that are produced from our rate usage.
This passes tonight. Where would you get the first money from?
I guess I don't understand your question.
If it passes tonight, where would you get your first money from?
It would come from the customers that were part of it.
So wouldn't you go get a bond issue if you needed it?
We would not be able to support the bond issues initially, but later on we'd be able to.
That's what I'm saying. That's why massaging it over 5 or 6 years, you're gonna still get your 23%. But it sounds like you're being selfish about trying to help the residents out so there won't be a very big impact. Mr. Johnson, we want you to be happy with, we want you to be able to be the overseer or whatever you are over wastewater. We want you to manage it. We want you to be that. But we got residents here that we have to think about too, that voted us in. So our immediate interest would be them, as well as having a sewer system that you don't get the water back up in your sink. Thanks for that. But we want the people to also be able to be able to afford to live here. And we're just asking you to massage yours into 5 or 6 years versus the 3 years that you're massaging. And it is in my knowledge that you're going to get a bond issue or you're going to borrow the money from somewhere anyway. So the 23% is still there. It just seems like a stubborn idea not to work with us on this issue.
Okay.
The rates that we're proposing on the ground are to provide the operations and expenses as well as capital improvements that we need to make. And again, repeating myself earlier, if we continue to delay this for additional 2 years, we would not be, first of all, making capital improvements. And as the consultant indicated, the longer we wait, the rates would actually increase more and more. Right? So it's beneficial for us to go ahead and do this now. We try to be very prudent. We try to be very prudent in our ways of
Thank you.
handling this, but at the same time, we don't, no one likes to hold it. But there's a necessity, a requirement, we have to go ahead and maintain sewer service for all the city of Pine.
Alderman Mays.
Mayor Hollingworth, I'd like to end the discussion and go into a vote, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Brumman.
Aye.
Alderman Steph.
Aye.
Alderman Walker.
Aye.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown Senior.
No.
Alderman Mays.
No.
Alderman Holcomb.
Aye.
Alderman Brown Jr.
No.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, Mayor, we're moving on to number 4, an ordinance amending section 2-55 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas regarding the procedure for discussion, debate, and filing of ordinances and resolutions and for related purposes. I think wasn't there a change made on that one? If there's a change made, we probably ought to read it.
On page 2.
Page 2.
Yeah, they gave us a second page.
No, but shouldn't it be read into the record?
I'll read that. Okay, just read subsection F. Subsection F, issues or questions raised in the post-meeting public comments which need investigation or review shall be referred to the appropriate council committee for action, with the committee to report back with its findings by the next regularly scheduled council meeting. An ordinance amending section 2-55 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas regarding the procedure for discussion, debate, and filing of ordinances and resolutions and for related purposes.
We'll place it on the calendar. We have an ordinance amending section 16-53 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas regarding storage of junked or abandoned vehicles and related purposes, up for the second reading.
An ordinance amending section 16-53 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas regarding storage of junked or abandoned vehicles and related purposes.
We'll place it on the calendar. We have an ordinance amending section 16-3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to address waste accumulation around dumpsters and containers, up for the second reading.
An ordinance amending section 16-3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to address waste accumulation around dumpsters and containers.
Place it on the calendar. We have an ordinance assessing an administrative fee to be assessed and added to every lien levied in the course of the city remediating nuisance property, provided for use of the funds generated by the collection of the fee and for related purposes, up for the second reading.
An ordinance assessing an administrative fee to be assessed and added to every lien levied in the course of the city remediating nuisance property, providing for the use of the funds generated by the collection of the fee and for related purposes.
Place it on the calendar.
What
We have a,
committee did this go to?
did it go to public safety?
No,
Okay.
it did not.
Did it go to
Can.
Public Works? Has it been to a committee yet?
I think, and likewise with number 6, I think.
I thought they had, but if they haven't, that's fine.
5, 6, and 7.
5, 6, and 7 need to go to,
Public health and welfare?
should they go to public safety? Since that's who's involved in the
Okay.
code
Yeah.
Okay.
code enforcement.
Okay.
Okay, we'll ask public safety, please review those for the next meeting. Thank you. We have a resolution authorizing the mayor to convey real property, Lot 11, Box 26, Eureka Heights Edition, Number 2.
Whereas the city is record owner of the real property described below, and whereas an offer to purchase the realty has been received from Mr. Archie L. Arnold, and whereas the city has no plans for the property, the offer is fair and reasonable, and transferring the property to private ownership frees the city of the annual cost of maintenance and promotes objectives consistent with the public good. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that upon payment of the sum of $700, the mayor is authorized and directed to convey by quitclaim deed to Mr. R.G. L. Arnold or his designee the following described real property below. Section 2, payment of the consideration is due within 90 days after passage of this resolution. Once payment is made, the city attorney's office will prepare a quitclaim deed to Mr. Arnold. If payment is not made within the time specified, no extension will be granted, and this authorization is void.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to convey real property, Lot 11, Block 26, Eureka Heights, Edition Number 2. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution authorizing the mayor to convey real property, lots 14, 15, Block 7, Eureka Heights, Edition Number 2.
Whereas the city is record owner of the real property described below, and whereas an offer to purchase the realty has been received from Ms. Tequila Jackson, and whereas the city has no plans for the property, the offer is fair and reasonable, and transferring the property to private ownership frees the city of annual cost of maintenance and promotes objectives consistent with the public good. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that upon payment of the sum of $700, the mayor is authorized and directed to convey by quitclaim deed to Ms. Tequila Jackson or her designee the following described real property. Section 2, payment of the consideration is due within 90 days after passage of this resolution. Once payment is made, the city attorney's office will prepare a quitclaim deed to Ms. Jackson. If payment is not made within the time period and no extension granted, this authorization is void.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to convey real property, lots 14, 15, Block 7, Eureka Heights, Edition Number 2. Floor is now open for discussion.
We're
Yeah.
selling that?
Sir?
We're selling that?
Yes.
Then where did that money go?
Into general fund. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement.
Whereas the city council has determined that the structures located on...
Adoption.
Second.
Second.
Been properly moved in second that a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement. Floor is now open for discussion.
Mayor, on this particular structure, this is right back to the VFW. And it's just another way around to get the city to tear down this property. Because after 10 days or 30 days, no one is going to, whoever, the person that owns this building is not gonna go in and tear it down, and it just puts us in a position of going in and spending $200,000 or $300,000 on some property that probably, once it's cleaned up, is probably not worth $50,000. So putting a lien on it will not benefit the city of Pine Bluff at all. But it's just disguising it as just a usual property structure that we are ordering their abatement, and it's not. We are obligating the city for $200,000 or $300,000 if we do this. And another thing, they keep saying, attention, Manuel Leroy Carroll. And I don't think that family would appreciate this because that gentleman is deceased. He was, and in fact, I think he was a victim of a war, and that's why it was named in his honor. But he does not own that property. The gentleman is deceased, and they need to stop using his name. So I hope that we don't be deceived by this looking the way it is, because it gets right back around to the $250,000 to clean up that property.
Okay, any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I truly think that Alderman Walker, or Alderwoman Walker is correct. And I think that we do things here in the city ought to be in an orderly fashion, it ought to be straightforward fashion, but this particular resolution is clearly stating it's another way to say we're going to tear that building down, and it's totally not fair to the city council and to the taxpayers of Jefferson County, well, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to write such a resolution and expect us not to be able to read between the lines saying that we're going to raise this building when we got 50, I ain't going to say that, we got a whole lot of buildings in Pine Bluff that needs to be raised before this one. And even at that rate, if we raise this one, we'll have to probably put ourselves at a liability to raise all the rest of them, or we're going to be liable for lawsuits. I just really wish that we could work together as a city and try to understand that we don't want taxpayers to pay for these buildings. We want the owners of these buildings to pay first. And we have to realize that there's no easy way around it. You can't pay attention to one or two buildings and not pay attention to all of them. We have some more buildings that are on that list, and we didn't say anything about raising those buildings. We're talking about this particular area, and as Alderman Walker said, Mr. Carroll, Leroy Carroll, and I'm thinking that he was dead at the time the building was named after him. He was one of my co-workers at County, Alfred Carroll's brother. And that is not the true owner of the building, but we'll continue to use that word. And unless you can show me where he bought that land, then that it doesn't belong to him. However, it comes back to the same problem that we had 2 weeks ago to 3 weeks ago about spending taxpayers' money to tear that building down. And I think that's the intent. And it's sort of a sneaky intent. And I don't like that because we do things the right way in city council. And I think that it's another way to do something, undermine it. And we don't do things in city council that way. Thank you.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Who owns the building? I think that's the legal part, who owns this building? If this man don't own the building, who owns this building? Didn't Simmons finance this building with somebody?
From what, the people that was in the VFW before,
right,
they bought the building from, what is the gentleman that owned the Land Museum? Horn.
Right.
And Simmons financed it.
Right.
And they were paying Simmons Bank $270 per month. And they started complaining because it was raining in the building and the water was running down the walls, and they were afraid they were going to be electrocuted, and then it got bad with mold. And they complained to the city to condemn it, and then they complained to Simmons Bank, and nobody did anything. So they moved out and stopped paying Simmons Bank. So Simmons Bank hold the lien for the building.
Because I asked Simmons Bank that question when they were down here. What happened to the property if it was foreclosed on and they said, well, right now, you know, we not the owners of it, but we have the lien against it. So if they're not the owner of it, I guess through legal matters, and once that thing is worked out, eventually it would go back to Simmons, Horn, Mr. Horn, whoever it was, but do they still own it? But I understand that what we were dealing with before is that they have a trust set up. And the trust company, and he was I guess the executive of the trust, Mr. Horn, and I think it was two of those brothers. And so that's the thing that concerns me. If we go ahead with this ownership here, and that's not the proper owner, then we're not handling this legally. Attorney, I feel you or Joe, one of y'all help me here, because I don't have my law license yet. Okay.
What is your question, Mr.
My
Stiles?
question is, if this is not the right name, it's not the right person, then can we legally go ahead and do what we're talking about doing?
Notice has to be provided to the proper parties.
Okay.
And as I understood it, I thought that there was going to be some contact with, I guess maybe the headquarters or the corporate office for the VFW, and I haven't heard back as it relates to that. So right now, it's in question as to who's the owner of the building.
Well, you know, it's my understanding, if you buy a house and somebody finance your house, if you don't pay for that house, the house goes back to the person that is carrying the loan.
Right.
Because, you know, they have a lien and they have ownership of the house if you don't pay for it. And it's the same thing with this building.
Huh?
Simmons Bank has a loan, and Simmons Bank has no interest in foreclosing on it exactly because if they did, they would become the record owner. And so long as they do not foreclose on it, they are not the record owner.
Okay, but then it wouldn't be this person here, though.
Well, they're the people who appear on the county's property records, that's all we can go by. Apparently VFW Post 228's been defunct for years, and nobody else in the VFW organization, as Scott points out, is assuming responsibility for it. We tried everybody locally, they have nothing to do with it. I think we've written to the state board and maybe the U.S., but so far we haven't got anybody who wants to assume responsibility.
But that's my question. If we don't have nobody to assume the responsibility of, we can't find it out, we can't make it be this person, or can we?
This person is still the record owner of the property according to.
Even though he dead?
No, I'm sorry. When it says attention Manuel Leroy Carroll, he's simply the agent for receipt of notice. VFW Post.
You ain't gonna be able to get it to him, Joe.
He could not have been because he was deceased when they named it after him. They
Yes, ma'am.
named it after this gentleman.
But the law requires that we go by the county records, and it's never been changed.
He never owned it.
Okay.
So did he sign for
The
the
gentleman
building?
was
He
dead.
was the individual identified in the county records to receive notice. No one else has ever been identified as the proper person to receive notice for VFW Post 228, probably because there is no longer any such organization as VFW Post 228.
Okay, then what did they leave us then, Josie? Yeah.
They're the last record owner of the property, and as long as we post notice on the property and give notice to Simmons as the lien holder, we have met our legal obligations.
So as long as Simmons doesn't do anything, so it doesn't obligate them in any way, and if we go out there and do what we talking about doing,
May I speak?
I'm just saying.
I got you. I talked with, I spoke with county judge within the past week, and he says he has the equipment. He's ready to help us whatever we need to work with them. I mean, my thing is opening up downtown, cleaning that stuff up, and going forward. Now, what can we do as a body of leaders, I mean, for our citizens to move to just clean up downtown? I mean, I think it's a high cost on it, but we have to do something. It looks terrible down there with the road all blocked up, and, you know.
Just tell us where we want to get the record from.
Well, I mean, we need to move, and we need to move within the next 2 or 3 weeks and clean it up where it can look better and open it back up where the traffic can come down through Main Street and you'll see progress coming back. I think we're not.
Well, I do have
Excuse
his,
me, excuse me, excuse me.
okay.
We're not making forward progress like we should as far as opening up downtown Main Street. We're hurting those businesses that are down there. And I think if the county is willing to give us some equipment, help us with some equipment, if they want to share the cost, we give them some money. I don't know what we can do, but honestly, something has to be done for our downtown. That just the street opening up will make our citizens feel a lot better.
Miss Ruth, could you come to the podium and speak to the process we have to go through in order to even begin any of this?
Amen.
Concerning this file, the demolition process was started before the building failed. It was already in the process of being condemned. The owner is in VFW Post 228, which does not exist anymore. The reason it appears attention Manuel Leroy Carroll is how it is at the courthouse. The legal process says we can't change it. We notified several more people without receiving any information from them. Martha Davis was on record as the person that was paying the taxes. They moved to Las Vegas. This is just me saying this. I believe her husband died, and maybe she's married to somebody else. I really don't know, but I sent it to a different address of the person that Martha Davis. It also came back. Our next process is to run it in the newspaper, which we did, trying to locate anyone. Also notice Simmons Bank as the lien holder. Anyway, they said they don't own it anyway either, but we still sent them the notice along with the first notice. So we have followed the legal process on the building, and this is the next step to getting it condemned.
I thought. Was it already condemned?
No, we were in the process of having it condemned before it failed.
Yes, sir.
Man, I thought you questioned you, that she was to answer. And what was the process for the cleanup? Now, I talked to you all and I suggested something the last time we were here. We talked about this, the street department had pushed the brick back. And I thought that until we can come to some resolution to put a wall there where the bricks can't fall in the street, then you can remove those barriers because you got the bricks and thing blockade. And it won't allow them to tumble down. And you had said that there was a process and that you still had to get some from, ADEQ before you could do that. And I think we could do that and can remove the barriers until we come to some resolution. But I think that right now, we're getting ready to, not only that cost, and you talked about, we had something else out there for another $240,000. When this thing end up, you could be up out of $500,000. And I think it ought to be not even called demolition, called cleanup, if you're gonna do anything. But I think that we could remove those barriers if we put that wall there. And maybe
What kind of wall were you speaking of?
you know, like some of the cities when they're working, they have walls up with wood walls, like
Okay, panels? like-
Panels and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay,
Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
if also the street department, it seems, could go in and move those bricks that is out in the street. If I recall correctly, the building that fell on, what is that, 4th, and that these bricks was pushed back so that it would not be in the street, and it was pushed back that far until the gentleman finally came in and cleaned it up. But the bricks was pushed back, I believe, by the street department.
The process that I was asking Mitzi about is that this is, you have to go through this particular process to even be able to get to the point that if we wanted to bring in the county or partner up with someone, you've got to have the building condemned before you can even begin to do something like that.
Even to push the bricks back?
Well, no, not to just push the bricks back, no.
I mean, like they were saying, just pushing the bricks back up in there, if it's asbestos in there, we have something that I think it's a fee or something we pay as a stormwater fee. So if the rainwater is running on that asbestos in those bricks, it's running off anyway. So if they can just push it back over in there for the time being and open up the street, if it takes a barrier for the time being, I mean, we need to be focusing tonight and in motion tomorrow as to cleaning that stuff up, moving it, making it look better, doing something.
Once that building falls, the part about asbestos, it loses its identity. You don't have nobody that's gonna come in there and you say, oh, I got to have some asbestos. They're not gonna sift through all those bricks and crumbs and try to look for no asbestos. Get you some and pick that stuff up, put it on the back of them trucks and haul it off and clean it up.
And actually,
that's what needs to be done.
And actually, we have about 10 trucks at the street department, line them up, get a couple of dump trucks. Like Alderman Stepp said, if it's asbestos in there, nobody's gonna go in there now and go in there and try to.
You have to be certified to remove it.
Well, like the guy said, it was only in the tiles in that building, one of those buildings.
But it's still all in the rubble, and you have to be certified to remove it.
To haul it off. You don't have no business touching it.
Commercial property, you have to get permission from ADQ.
Has anybody requested that permission?
Yes.
What did they say?
They said we can knock the building inside itself, but we can't move any bricks
Until when?
until they come down and assess it.
But that's my whole point. Why should we move to do anything now when we're waiting on the decisions from them? That's why I think we are premature in what we are trying to do. We have to wait until the process has been done before we move forward. What if they said, okay, we give you permission to haul it off?
And before we can do that, we have to have it condemned.
Okay, once we get that information, I don't have no problem with condemning it because I know what we have to do. But I don't want to condemn nothing beforehand, and now it's going to cost us $200,000. I don't know why we in such a big hurry.
Wait, so you have to condemn it before the ADEQ will come down, or?
No, before the city has legal
Well, I mean,
permission to go on the building to do it.
right, but the ADEQ part.
Requested, right, with the ADEQ.
Someone has to pay for it.
Pay for what?
For, to file an NOI for ADQ to come down and assess it.
We willing to pay
How
$200,000.
much
I'm
is
sure
that
they ain't gonna
cost?
charge us that much.
Alderman Boyd has raised his hand to talk. Let's let him talk. Alderman Boyd?
Why don't we, withdraw from where the city's raising the building at this time and just leave it there and go ahead on and condemn it? Then that'll take the liability off us.
Certainly
Can
will.
we?
Of further concern of those.
It
who have
certainly will,
concern.
and it'll make the ordinance look like a,
That's all this is.
Huh?
No.
No.
I
It's got-
understand what Reverend Boyd
It's got a
is saying.
section down there that says, for.
yeah, section 1, it says,
Raise and remove,
Section 2.
That's on all of them.
okay, and the city of Pine Bluff have a lien upon. That's the process, okay.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Ruth?
Well, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to know, can we get that study, done, ADEQ to come down and do what they need to do? How much is it? I mean, roughly.
I think it's based on the square foot.
Okay.
So much per square foot. And then we can check, see how much it is,
Yeah.
where the money's gonna come from.
Well, she just said that you can push it all inside the middle. You said you can, we need to do something like tomorrow.
Can we
Okay.
move, so it's okay for us to push it back, right?
Let's do this. Let's hear from Assistant Attorney Joe Childers. He's got a comment.
Well, it's just a piece of information. The old band museum, which is the other property which has collapsed, has already been condemned. So you've got condemned bricks and uncondemned bricks out in the roadway.
So can we just call them all?
Do we need to separate the bricks from the condemned and uncondemned?
Well, Well, so technically, we
I
can
don't
do
know
it
how
now.
you do that.
You've added some technical
Well,
aspect to
but the
this.
thing about it is, what can we do tonight and tomorrow? I mean, that's,
This is part of the process that we have to go through. This is nothing different than any other building that we deal with. It's just part of the process. So, Ms. Ruth, thank you. Thank you.
Well, the thing is, I understand that, but what we're trying to do is find this solution. We want to open the street up as soon as possible. What can we do to open the street up next week or this week or?
tomorrow.
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, we want to, at some point, we're going to have to clean it all up. But for right now, you know, people, and me myself, I travel up and down Main Street all the time, and it is a distraction to have to turn off. So what can we do legally to clear this up, at least to open the street up? That's my question.
And I agree with you. I concur with that. What happens if we open it up? We would have to put the barriers up, and part of the wall and the back part of it collapses. Then what do you do if it's 12 o'clock on a business day? What do you do? Because y'all were not down there the morning that it collapsed, and you didn't see the bricks spread all over the street, and there were bricks everywhere.
But there's any threat of the back wall coming toward the street?
Yes, they don't know because of what's happened now. It's undecided as to which way it could turn. One of the scenarios is that the east back or the east wall, if the top part of that wall where the roof is, if that wall starts to collapse, it could twist. And if it twists, it'll blow out the east bottom of the wall and the top part comes forward. Or the other scenario is the south wall tumbles. And if the south wall tumbles in, they don't know what could happen. So if you want to put, public safety is first and foremost. First and foremost. So flip a coin. I mean, you don't know. So, yes, sir.
Here's my question, and the only thing I'm saying, I wasn't talking about putting a little 4-foot wall up.
Yeah.
I'm talking about putting up a wall that's high enough that if it does fall from the back forward there, those bricks is gonna fall and they'll crumble up against that wall. But if you knock it over, that means that you ought to put it up there where it won't knock it over.
Well, then you would have to
But I
have
tell you what,
support.
Then what we're gonna have, looks like at a Mexican standoff, we'll have them bears continue being in the street. I'm just trying to come up with some suggestion that something we could remove some of those bears and things, but hey, I'm scared to go down Main Street anyhow, as long as you got that Pines Hotel building sitting up there. I ain't got no problem going around.
Mayor, who had given us this scenario of how that back wall could go?
From two different people.
What was their title?
What was their what?
What was their title?
They were both owners of their company.
Owners of the company?
Yes, sir.
Oh, because, it just doesn't seem reasonable, and I don't think it would seem reasonable to anybody in here, that back wall was gonna come back and tumble over all those bricks over the front and into the street. That just doesn't seem logical, at all. And, but I agree, that, we could take, the raise out of it, and then it can be condemned. And maybe that will give you some leeway to do other things with the city, because right now, this is just leading into us cleaning it up. So,
Mayor.
I make a motion that we take Section 2 and raise out of Section 1, take Section 2 out, and where it said hereby ordered to raise, and remove the dilapidated building, that we take that out, and then we can vote on it, I think.
I'll second that.
What was it take out?
Take out the deal that says we're gonna raise it.
Okay, that's what you
We
were
may
saying.
come back later, but right now, the idea is get them condemned.
Okay.
But like Joe said, though, Attorney Childer said, you have condemned bricks and you have uncondemned bricks.
Joe is confusing enough, don't bring him back in.
Well, he's right, I mean,
Leave it on.
Okay, we've got an amendment on the floor. You want to repeat the amendment again?
I was gonna
Yes,
comment, but
that'd
I'll
be
let it go.
Okay, in section 1, we'll take out the word to raise and remove, and then totally take out section 2.
Well, if we do that, then if the owners decided they wanted to raise it, then they should be able to have the option of raising it.
No, this is just for the city.
This is for the city.
Just, all I'm hoping we
All
can
we
do
get
is
another
get
piece.
condemnation done.
Okay, no, because it says that the owners of record listed in section 3 are hereby ordered to raise and remove the dilapidated, unsightly, and unsafe structures.
If they come back and want to, we'll let them.
I'm just saying, well, I just want to know why we're taking it out of that section, that's all. I mean, why are we taking it out of section 1?
It says all, it doesn't say the city.
Yeah.
Some of the aldermen want it taken out. So
Just
we'll-
take it out of section 2. Just omit section 2.
We want to omit section 2 only. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Ms. Walker's motion to remove section 2, and I second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that on the amendment that we remove section 2 from the resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement.
Well, no, we have something else here. No, we removed that. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so may we have roll call, please,
Alderman
for the
Brooks,
amendment?
Aye.
Alderman Stepps.
Aye.
Alderman Walker.
Aye.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown Senior.
Aye.
Alderman Mays.
Aye.
Alderman Holcomb.
Aye.
Alderman Brown Jr.
Aye.
Motion passes on the amendment.
I move for the resolution as amended.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that the resolution as amended declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution honoring the Pine Bluff Police Department.
Whereas the Pine Bluff Police Department, originally established in 1839 with deep roots in the community it polices, has made significant contributions to the city of Pine Bluff. And whereas the Pine Bluff Police Department and its administrative staff have fostered a positive image for the entire city through implementation of specific law enforcement practices as problem-oriented policing, the Violent Crime Task Force, and the consistent use of and reliance on data products to direct police activities. And whereas the Pine Bluff Police Department hosts numerous community activities directed at youth, such as the February coloring contest, in which notable Pine Bluff African Americans are put forth as positive examples, the basketball camp, Project One Step, Pay Camp, baseball camp, National Night Out, and many others. And whereas the Pine Bluff Police Department has made significant strides in reducing crime, its investigative units maintain remarkably high solution rates for violent felonies, its officers maintain the highest levels of accountability and commitment to training. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that all matters, facts, and things herein above set out and set forth be the order of the council, and that the Pine Bluff Police Department is honored for achievement and outstanding service to the good people of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that before the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, it doesn't have a title. Oh, a resolution honoring the Pine Bluff Police Department. Floor is now open for discussion. All right. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, I would, Chief Eubanks is already standing, and Chief Whitfield, and some of the others, but I would like to ask all the police people that is here that is with the police department to stand, please.
Thank you so much. Great group of guys and women. Miss Butler's back there somewhere. I see her. Yeah.
I saw it.
Oh, I thought we did. We didn't vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Whew, thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, we have a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal aid transportation alternative program funds.
Whereas the City Council understands federal aid transportation alternative funds are available at 80% federal participation and 20% local match in kind labor and develop or improve Main Street streetscape project, and whereas the City of Pine Bluff understands that federal aid funds are available for this project on a reimbursable basis requiring work to be accomplished and proof of payment prior to actual monetary reimbursement, and whereas this project using federal funding will be open and available for use by the general public and maintained by applicant for the life of the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, the City of Pine Bluff will participate in accordance with its designated responsibility, including maintenance of this project. Section 2, the mayor of the city is hereby authorized and directed to execute all appropriate agreements and contracts necessary to expedite the construction of the above stated project. Section 3, the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff pledges its full support and hereby authorizes the mayor to cooperate with the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department to initiate action to implement this project.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution expressing the willingness of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal aid transportation alternatives program funds. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, sir.
Mayor, may I be a sponsor on this also?
Yes.
Sure.
I have one question. On this, if this is approved, where will the money, the initial money come from for the projects? I understand that we will be reimbursed, but we have to pay it up front. So where will this come from?
I'm thinking once we are approved for X number of dollars, then that will come back. Mr. Matthews?
Upon funding, we'll bring it back to the council. I think in the past, Steve, I think we used some drone funds and the money is immediately returned. And with regards to the walking trail, the city council has already given us enough money for the Saracine walking trail where we already have the match in hand. The Safe Route to School, we'll probably use the general fund for reimbursements as well as the 20%. But that amount cannot be determined until they let us know if we are awarded, how much we are awarded.
And on that safe route to school, I know that it's a city project, but did we need to get the school board involved with that for their schools?
No, basically, the Safe Routes to School builds city right-of-ways leading up to the school, and with the project in Southwood, it is a small distance in comparison to some of the others that we're going to apply for in the future, and the one we had in town before. I think we're only looking at maybe a 4 or 5 block area of Southwood versus Townsend Park, we're looking at 10, 12 blocks. At certain sections, the kids have to walk out in the streets, actually out in the street, to get to Southwood. Same is true at Townsend Park, but we're in the process now of putting the sidewalks in, improving the streets along the Safe Routes to School.
Why don't we do this? Are there any more questions regarding the streetscape program? Okay, thank you, Mr. Matthews. Let's go ahead and vote.
The total cost of that is what? It's just for the design?
No. Nobody
Well,
knows.
It's coming up in the other one, so it's in here.
What it is, the state has a pot of money that a number of cities will apply for. Based on the number of applications, they will allocate either a certain amount, so we don't have. But the city's already allocated $2 million for the streetscape project. We're trying to add to that pot in order to do Main Street streetscape.
Okay, any other questions?
I just want to clarify something. You had said that the 20% will be refunded along with the reimbursement. That's not what you're saying.
No.
Okay,
The city is obligated to pay 20% of the project.
okay,
The state will pay for 80%.
Okay.
They will reimburse that 80% to the city.
What they're saying is that the total cost of the project is $100,000. We'll cash flow $100,000, and then 80% of that will be reimbursed back to us. Is that what you're saying, Larry?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. I guess that's what concerned me because Ms. Walker asked that question earlier, and she asked the question: would the city be putting up the entire 100%, of that money?
Yes.
I knew that they would. What I wanted to know was where the money was coming from. Had we identified where the money would come from?
So for the streetscape, we already have the money.
The streetscape is virtually, all the money already there, 20%, because we have $2 million.
Okay, so if they gave us 500,000, then we could float that, and then they would give us,
Same thing
okay.
with the walking trail. We have money already set aside for the walking trail that will be used as a match.
I guess, and then my one final statement.
Yes.
If we awarded the $250,000, just using that number, at the time that we are awarded, the city would have to have the $250,000 to get this started. That's what we're saying.
No, what I'm saying is, say we get $250,000.
Okay,
We will come back to the city and say, we have been awarded $250,000.
okay.
80% of that will be reimbursed back to the city. And it's reimbursed based on when we get our pay request. Are you following me?
Now, when you say reimburse back to the city, in order to read something back to me, that means I done,
You have to pay it out first.
is that what, that's it? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Will that be paid as the phases all along?
Right, it won't be all at
Okay.
once. It'll be
Okay.
just paid out as
We
it
will
goes.
have our reimbursement, say from the first payment, we will have it prior to the second payment coming in.
Okay.
See, this is the very reason that the
Oh.
meeting was an unofficial meeting, because see, you all are confused.
Okay, any other comments for Mr. Matthews? I'm gonna let him go sit back down. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, yeah, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I want to add my name to it as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Does anybody
everybody
else want
wanna
to be
be-
added as a sponsor?
Everybody want to be a sponsor? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I couldn't. Crazy.
Okay.
Moving right along. We have a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal and transportation alternatives program funds. Southwood Elementary Safe Route to School Project.
Language is actually exactly the same as the previous resolution. Would you like me to read it?
I think that's fine. Just read the title and
Okay. A resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff to utilize federal aid transportation alternative program funds, Southwood Elementary Safe Route to School Project.
move for adoption.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal aid transportation alternative program funds, Southwood Elementary Safe Route to School Project. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to be
It won't
added
be
to that one as well.
Everybody want to be added on to that?
Okay, okay. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
You do it, keep up.
Okay, Mayor, we're moving right along. We have a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to use federal aid recreational trail funds.
Also, the language in this resolution is almost the same, except for it does not include in-kind labor. Other than that, it is exactly the same as the previous two.
Okay, just read the title and we'll put it in play.
A resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal aid recreational trail funds.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to utilize federal aid recreational trail funds. All floor is now open for discussion, sir.
May I be a sponsor?
Yes.
All that want to be a sponsor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, now, all that's in favor, you're going to be putting time out. All that's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, items 16 and 17 have been sent back to committee, will be discussed on March 26th and added to the agenda for the next meeting.
Well,
That
might
concludes
well-
our,
You read the rest of it, we might well read these.
I'll be glad to, if you want to or not.
Let's take them to committee.
Let's go ahead and,
Let's read them.
go ahead and read them. Do what?
16, 17? Okay.
Let's,
Are we on the roll?
Number 16, we're on a roll right now, maybe everybody want to be added in as well.
yes.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Pine Bluff Wastewater Utility for sewer repairs pertaining to the pit drain project.
Whereas the city is engaged in the renovation of the pit drain project in the city, and whereas it is necessary for repairs to be made to the sanitary sewer mains affected by the project to be performed by the Pine Bluff Wastewater Utility, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the mayor is authorized to execute the attached memorandum of understanding with the Pine Bluff Wastewater Utility for its services, labor, and equipment used in the repair of the sanitary sewer mains affected by the pit drain project for the consideration and on the terms set forth in the agreement.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Pine Bluff Wastewater Utility for sewer repairs pertaining to the pit drain project. Floor is now open for discussion.
I just had one thing
Yes,
I
sir.
want to say. I was looking at the funding. Why are we paying $6,500 to wastewater to do their job? I guess it's that.
We're contracting out. Mr. Matthews?
In this particular instance, it's because of the pitch drain project. It's causing problems.
Okay.
That's why it's in this one. It's a project-related problem because of the construction project, not necessarily a wastewater problem. Because of the way the construction is designed, those areas need to be displaced.
See, this is the very reason I wanted to send back because didn't nobody
Okay.
understand.
Put him on
I'm fine. I just wanted to ask that question. I'm fine with it.
Any other questions? Okay, yes, sir.
We already have funds set aside on the bond.
Okay. And it really, if you've not been by there, it looks wonderful what they've done. It's really, really good. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Anybody want to be added? Okay.
Yeah.
Speak
Add
now.
everybody.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Just add
Except-
Mr. Alden.
Except Mays.
Put his name on.
It wasn't in the beginning, that unofficial.
You want to be added too, Alderman Mays?
Might as well. Might as well.
Okay.
Oh, no.
We have a
Put his name on there.
We have a resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with McClellan Consulting Engineers Incorporated for professional design services for the Main Street Streetscape Project.
Whereas the city is committed to the revitalization of the downtown Main Street corridor, and whereas it is necessary to engage professional engineering services for design work regarding the Main Street Streetscape project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, the mayor is authorized to execute the attached work order number 11 or a contract substantially conforming with the said document with McClellan Consulting Engineers Incorporated for professional engineering design services regarding the streetscape project in downtown Pine Bluff. Section 2, the services shall be for the consideration and terms set forth in the attached work order number 11, with the consideration to be paid in installments as the work progresses in a satisfactory fashion. Section 3, the services will encompass work on Main Street north of its intersection with 4th Avenue to its intersection with Barracue Street, Barracue Street from its intersection with State Street west to its intersection with Walnut Street between Barracue and Martha Mitchell Expressway, and Pine Street between Barracue and Martha Mitchell Expressway.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with McClellan Consulting Engineering Incorporated for professional engineering design services for the Main Street Streetscape project. Floor is now open for discussion.
Mayor, this is the $200,000 for the design, am I right?
I'll have to ask Mr. Matthews.
I don't have my copy in front of me, but there's detail out in the contract that has been submitted from the Florida engineers, the cost that is involved, and I believe you all right somewhere around $200,000.
230 to be exact, right?
Yes.
That's what we just had in an unofficial meeting.
You knew that, what you asked
But the
for.
thing about it is, so it goes back to the, well, y'all been talking all night. The original one with the grant, the 80-20 grant. Now, how's that money gonna flow with this?
It does not flow with that. The 80-20 grant is for the sidewalk that will be instituted into
Go ahead.
But we do have some funds available that we're going to go ahead and start the project as soon as we get the design put together, right? That's what I thought, okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Matthews?
You said out of the 5/8 cent sales tax, which one is that for? Streetscape, okay. Okay. But, Mayor, I do agree with Alderman Mays that perhaps he was disrespected because of the fact that it was not a quorum and he allowed people to discuss what they wanted to discuss, and then it was taken out of context by the news media as if there was a meeting, and I do not think that was fair. So I would advise Alderman Mays, next time, if you don't have more people to have a meeting, just leave.
Well,
That was what I told you, that's what should have happened.
what I said was, since they didn't show up, just go ahead and discuss some of it.
But see, you shouldn't do that.
Well,
Just one moment. Neither one of you have the floor. Alderman Holcomb?
Hold up.
Tell 'em.
You said that we didn't show up.
right, okay,
Hold up, then.
you had
Hold up.
you told me last
Hold up,
council.
hold up,
Let me
hold up.
Just
explain.
Alderman Holcomb has the floor.
Let me say something. You said we didn't show up. I told you at the council meeting
I did.
last Monday that I could not come to the meeting.
I understand
You
that.
had the meeting anyway.
Well, I knew all.
Stop. I got the floor.
Okay. And I
You
get
shouldn't
it.
have had the meeting no way when he didn't show up. See, when you try to do stuff out of order, that's when stuff happens.
Well, hold on now. I said, I kept.
Alderman
got the
Holcomb,
floor.
Alderman Holcomb has the
I
floor.
got the floor.
Okay.
So you don't blame stuff on people.
I'm not blaming you.
You said we didn't show up. And I said right here and told you.
We stood right over there.
That's right.
Right.
So you need to get your story straight. Don't sit up here and say I didn't show up. And I told you after that meeting that I'm on that committee that you said Steps and Brummett was on.
Right, I understand that.
And I told you I could not come to that meeting. And you had the meeting anyway. Brummett was not there, and you continued to have that meeting. See, that's what happens when you don't do stuff in
I
order.
didn't continue to have a meeting.
Okay, Alderman Holcomb still has the floor.
He's through.
Okay, thank you.
I made a statement 3 times, in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, that it was an unofficial meeting, and it's on the tape, it was recorded. Now, we talked last council meeting right over here, you said you wasn't gonna be there, and I said, okay. Alderman Brummett said that he didn't write it on his calendar, but I was waiting on him. I
I called
understand
that morning and told you and the clerk's office I would not be.
that was that morning, but when we
Because
did-
I had an employee that didn't show
Okay,
up.
let's
Okay,
do this.
yeah, well,
Let's do this here. Let's do this, please. I will say this much. The city clerk's office did state that the meeting needed to be dismissed because you did not have a quorum. That was told at the very, very beginning, and so a choice was made not to dismiss. So I want to put that out on the table, that was actually stated, and they chose not to, he chose not to dismiss whatever the meeting was. So why don't we go ahead and move on, because we've got a couple of,
It was because I said, let me finish.
okay, we've got to go ahead. Nope, we're going to go ahead and vote on number 17. We haven't voted yet. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes our agenda. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Okay, a motion's been made and it's been properly seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.